Welcome back to a new weekly tech update. I'm talking about the week of March 28th. So what's going on in the world? While the vaccination is making great progress in the United States and everybody is talking about reopening, Biden, for example, promises to his population that they will experience a normal Independence Day on July 4th. In Europe, it doesn't look that good. Vaccinations are slower, and for example, the European country Austria seems to go on the next lockdown over the Easter weekend, which leads to a very interesting political and social situation. But anyhow, what else is going on in the world? What about the stock markets? Are they thriving or not? What about cryptocurrencies? Are the prices going up or are they going down? And what else happened this week in March and probably also in other weeks in March? The number one headline that caught my eye this week was again Tesla and Bitcoin. So, my friends, it looks like that at least in the United States, everybody who wants a Tesla and everybody who also owns Bitcoins can use these Bitcoins to buy a new Tesla, which means the interesting concept of exchanging something that appreciated in value over the last 10 years into a car that only depreciates in value. So always think twice before you spend your money. And you find the link in the show notes to the article, which lays out what Tesla is doing, how it works, and what Elon Musk's plans are with Bitcoin, which actually is not much. Tesla will keep the Bitcoins and won't sell them. So it basically looks like that Tesla is taking Bitcoin off the market and just keeps it in their cash accounts. One of the most relevant questions in my eyes for the development of the economy in general is COVID-19 and are we close to herd immunity? Herd immunity is a state of a society where any given virus can't harm it anymore because the majority of the population is immune against the virus, which means they don't get sick, they don't develop any symptoms. So according to Wikipedia, let's go a little bit deeper into that. Herd immunity is a form of indirect protection from infectious disease that can occur with some diseases when a sufficient percentage of a population has become immune to an infection, whether through vaccination or previous infections, thereby reducing the likelihood of infection for individuals who lack immunity. So far on Wikipedia. Unfortunately, the WHO changed their definition of herd immunity in the light of COVID-19. So the WHO states herd immunity against COVID-19 should be achieved by protecting people through vaccination, not by exposing them to the pathogen that causes the disease. Read the Directors General's 12 October media briefing speech for more detail. Don't worry, you'll find the links in the show notes on my Medium account. Again, so what does that mean? The WHO does not say herd immunity cannot be achieved by infection. They just don't want the governments to get everybody infected, which is, in my eyes, a just approach. The Wall Street Journal challenges this perspective and asks the questions, are we already close to herd immunity? Fauci in the United States says that unless we have achieved the vaccination state of about 70 to 80% of the population, herd immunity cannot be reached. And currently the United States is at 26%, which is a huge gap. But the Wall Street Journal comes to the conclusion it might already be higher because if we think about the second important thing, which means people who have been infected with the virus are immune against the virus. When we also take that into consideration, we might be closer to herd immunity than we think. And let's see what the Wall Street Journal says. The author of this article, you find it in the show notes, shows data that already 45% of all citizens in Los Angeles have sufficient antibodies against the virus SARS-CoV-2. It's the virus that causes COVID-19. And when we add Fauci's 26% and come up to a rough estimation, not mathematically correct, but let's assume, as it's a couple of weeks later, that already 50% of the population have herd immunity, and we have a vaccination state of 25%, we are exactly at the herd immunity level. So what should we see in the coming years? Probably the number of infected people is going down, and probably also the death rate should go down. But we will get new viruses, so it really would help if we start preparing our healthcare systems for future pandemics that surely will come. It was not really a significant event, but while I'm running, I love listening to podcasts and also run through the older episodes. And the last week, I was listening to an episode, I think it was from September 2019, in which the podcast hosts were talking about the mathematics of Bitcoin. In 2019, Bitcoin was still a little bit lower than today. We were still emotionally in the light of the great crash of 2018, if I may say so. But anyhow, now we see that Bitcoin is about $60,000 in price. So the podcast name is We Study Billionaires, and the interesting question that they were talking about is, why did Satoshi Nakamoto leave Bitcoin? I mean, usually when we see new technology coming to the market, let's just think about Amazon, let's think about Google, let's think about Apple for a while. All these companies have a shining star-like CEO who leads his armies to success. What would Amazon be without Jeff Bezos? What would Apple be without Steve Jobs? Or what would Microsoft be without Bill Gates? And yet, the group or the person, it's still unknown to me, who created Bitcoin left it. Why? What's the reason? And if you want to know that, I recommend listening to this episode, which you also find in the show notes. Another really interesting development came again from the blockchain space. It's about NFTs, non-fungible tokens is the name of the game. So what's it about? NFTs are a blockchain-based technology that proves that the asset that it's attached to is unique. We have it in the real world, so we have a lot of ledgers that just document that real estate property or stock belong to a person who owns the stock, but so far we don't have it in the digital space. NFTs try to solve that problem. So basically to any digital art, you can connect an NFT and make it unique by doing so. And this is what's going on for a couple of weeks. I had an eye on it as one of my favorite influencers, Gary Vaynerchuk, is promoting NFTs very heavily. So in March, an artist who goes by the name of People on Instagram, and this artist is basically doing something that's very recommendable to everybody who wants to create something, do it every day. So he is posting one of his paintings every day on Instagram, and he did it for, I think, the last 5,000 days. And he has put together a piece of digital art around it. It's basically showing all 5,000 paintings he made and posted on Instagram. And he auctioned it on Christie's. And the amazing thing is that this digital artwork achieved the highest price ever paid for an NFT, $69 million for every day's the first 5,000 days by the artist Mike Winkelmann, who goes by the name of Bibril. Well, that's an awesome thing and opens up huge perspective for future artists to make money basically with their digital art. And if you want to know more, go to the show notes and you find the article who provides more information on the ideas what you can do with NFTs. I believe in 2021, after we had a horrible 2020, everybody wishes this pandemic to end. But when will it actually happen? It's not so much a viral decision, it's more a governmental decision. When are governments willing to open up the world back to the normal that we already knew since we were born? The normal is freedom of speech, freedom of travel, any kind of freedom you can imagine. So McKinsey, the consulting company, has put together an article that asks this question, and they come up with a lot of facts. Two important things in my eyes is what will the United Kingdom and the United States do? So Boris Johnson already sees great progress in the United Kingdom and promises to his population that in Q2 2021, the country will open up again. He's a man of words and a man of honor, and so I hope it will happen that way. In the United States, the US President Biden also makes promises, and he tells his population, hopefully, or no, let's not say hopefully, that actually in July, for the Independence Day, they can expect to celebrate like all the other years before 2020. In Europe, it's another story. And if you want to read the facts, go to the show notes. That's it for this week. Enjoy your Easter weekend. I'm back on Easter Sunday or Easter Monday with another tech update. Stay safe and stay brave.